Thanks for listening to Leadership Level Up. I'm your host, Dr. Jeff Williamson, and whether you are just starting your leadership journey or have led others for decades, this podcast aims to shine a spotlight on those who lead others and share their guiding principles that have made them great leaders. Welcome to Leadership Level Up. I'm your host, Jeff Williamson, and it's good to have you back with us. We have a friend and a colleague with me today who I'll introduce more properly here in a second. But as we typically do, we'll talk about leadership. But this particular interview is focused on a couple of different things. One is that this coming October 11th is the third Converge conference. And Dr. Calvin Edwards, who you'll meet here in a moment, is one of our keynote speakers. So we're going to talk to her some about her professional progression and things she's done and is going to be doing. And we'll touch on some of the conference themes that we're going to talk just a tad bit to give them an idea what to look forward to in well, I guess it's 3 months plus August, September, under 3 months. So first of all, welcome, Dr. Melvina Calvin Edwards. I've just known you as Mel for years, so I said I want to make sure I say that the way you want me to say that.
Well, thank you.
Dr. Melvina Calvin Edwards is a Kankakee police officer and the coordinator for the Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Program at Kankakee Community College. You're a busy lady, but we'll talk about that. She has been a police officer and college professor for 18 years and has an ambition of giving students a learning environment experience with a hands-on approach to the field of law enforcement. She obtained a doctorate in education from Olivet Nazarene University in 2021, which is when our paths crossed. Correct. She has been recognized by Lifestyles of Kankakee County Women in Business and is a 2-time winner of the Paragon Award for dedication to the profession of law enforcement through lifelong learning, community engagement, and integrity. Melvina also serves on the Harbor House and YWCA board. Her background in law enforcement extends to community policing as a community liaison for the police department, juvenile officer, school resource officer, and elderly officer. Is that your wording?
Yes.
I did not call you elderly.
That is actually a title.
Okay. Yes. All right. I was like, who calls you elderly?
No.
You're younger than me.
I love the elderly.
Okay. All right. She has been married for 10 years to her husband, Josh, and they have a 7-year-old son named Ace. And I think he's one of the coolest kids in town.
Is.
Absolutely. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Well, I've told people a lot of times that not only am I excited to have them on the podcast, I'm just excited to get to spend a half hour or 40 minutes alone with them, just talking and catching up. And that's what this feels like, right?
That's awesome.
And so we met a few weeks ago to talk about having you come and be a part of the conference.
Yes.
As well as the podcast. So this is a shameless plug for the conference here in Kankakee, Illinois, October 11th. That's a Friday, and it's an all-day event. We'll start in the morning. I think 8:30 is the approximate starting time, and we have a full lineup of 2 keynotes and breakout sessions and a panel and all kinds of cool, exciting stuff that we'll be doing. So we'll be talking more about that, but that's a part of this is that we're excited to have you come and be one of our 2 keynote speakers. So I feel good about it. Yeah, I am too.
I am. When
we start thinking about people that might be possibilities for who could come, I was like, oh, she can bring the energy. I know Dr. Mel can absolutely communicate.
Yes.
Because she's been working in the community as an officer, as a professor. So
yes.
Tell us a little bit more about how you first started getting into law enforcement work and what drew you to that. And then we'll transition some to your next big thing that you've started, really, and we'll be doing.
All right, really quick story for you. In high school, I got into a lot of trouble, and I have to give a plug to Mr. Bianchetta. He was my principal at the time at Donovan.
Okay.
And I got into trouble for, actually, I was splitting up a fight, and he thought I was a part of the fight.
Oh, okay.
And he gave me an assignment asking me to do a paper on the police. And when I did that, I learned a lot. I was like, ooh, I think I might want to do this.
This sounds interesting.
So I turned my paper in, and he said, well, I think that this is the career for you. And I was like, I have no money to go to college. I don't know how to do it. And when I was graduating from high school, I had someone give me a full scholarship to KCC.
How about it?
Kankakee Community College. I had never really heard of Kankakee Community College. Didn't even know Kankakee had a college.
And you're like, well, there goes that obstacle.
Right. And I figured if someone's going to give me something, I'm going to use it. I'm going to take advantage of it, and I'm going to run with it.
Yeah.
And that was where I started out with law enforcement.
Okay.
And the criminal justice. And I had great people there that would help me actually finish and transfer to Olivet.
Yeah.
And I did a ride-alongs with Kankakee City Police. And that's where I fell in love with that department.
Yeah.
And I made it my goal to actually become a police officer there.
How about it?
So that is how I got into it.
And see, for the years that I've known you, when you set your mind to something, it's pretty much a done deal.
It is. It is a done deal. If I want it, I'm going to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to work and push and do whatever it takes. And I like that about you.
Yes.
So you started at KCC, did your associates there, then did the year 3 and 4, your bachelor's.
From Olivet.
From Olivet. And that was in criminal justice, correct? Okay.
And then I finished a master's degree at Governor State in political and social justice studies.
Okay.
And then that's where I met you. I went to go and finish a doctorate.
Right.
And had a great experience at Olivet.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Me too. That's great having you around.
Yes. Yes, it was. I learned so much.
Yes. Yeah. And if you're anything like me, when I was working my way through my educational journey, I would, I'd finish college and I thought, whew, that might be it for me.
Yes.
And then somebody said, have you ever thought about going to grad school and being a master's student in communication? I was like, oh, I don't know. But then I did. And you were like that. You're like, well, then you went to Governor State.
Yes.
Got a master's. Were you already an officer when you started Governor State, or did that come after?
No, that came after. And just to jump in here with the teaching, I was actually standing in line to graduate, and they walked up to me and gave me some books and said, you start on Monday teaching. And I was like, I don't know anything about
Who are you
teaching.
talking about?
Like, I think you have the wrong student.
Yeah.
But Governor State is where I started.
So they just literally walked up and said, you're in.
And I guess a professor chose me. And I said, I think you have the wrong person.
Yeah.
And they said, no, here's your name. And this is the title that you're going to be teaching.
How about it?
And from there on, I loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. And I was good at it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't doubt that for a second.
Thank you.
And then as ironic, and we'll get to that in a little bit, was the work that you're starting back at KCC. It feels a little bit like that. It's like, hey, we think you're our lady for this. So we'll touch on that a little bit more. So you were at Governor State. You're finishing up your master's. One of your profs, who obviously was impressed and invested in you, came up and said, we want you to stick around and be one of our faculty members now. So you did that. Then what?
I did that. And then KCC called. And they asked me, hey, would you happen to have time to come and teach some of our students? We heard you were teaching at Governor State. And I thought, well, that would be perfect for me. I'll sure. And so I started there in 2012.
Okay.
So I was already a police officer.
Okay.
Working at Governor State and teaching all over.
Yeah.
And
you were kind of a free agent, a little here, a little there, and then you had started off being officer.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And then when it came down to the teaching, I was working at both colleges for like a whole year. And I was like, okay, this is a lot. Traveling different directions. And finally, I just decided I'll just stay with KCC. Okay. So teaching night classes.
Yeah. So you doing you're working all day, you're doing a full-time job, you're an officer, and then you're going into class and teaching in the evening. So those were some full days, but I sense that it energized you to be pouring into upcoming officers and those that wanted to be in law enforcement.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it really is it's awesome to see students come in and then they become a police officer after they take your courses.
Right.
It's like, wow.
You did it.
We did it.
Yeah, that's the way I feel on graduation day, which is always a great day every year.
Yes.
I often say graduation days are like Christmas morning to me.
Yes.
As educators, as learners, it's like Christmas Day. It's just such a magnificent day. Me too.
Every time I see them walk and they graduate or they come back and they send me a letter or a text message, I'm a police officer now. I'm like, whoa.
Got to be a little part of that along the way. That's the best. Yes, it's exactly what I feel.
Yes.
Is to just get to be a part of that, or to someone to say, man, you didn't know, but I was at a low spot, and then I had that class with you, and it really helped me reset and think differently. And I'm like, wow. Little old me. Yes. And so what a gift that is when we get to invest in people and just join in. Talk about a ride along. Sometimes I'll say to people, I'm just riding shotgun with you for a while, and so that is such an exciting part of whatever the profession is that we get to do that.
Yes.
So, as we were talking about investing other people and seeing them have success. That's one of the things that when we started our conference now almost 3 years ago, the Converge conference was focused on community and connection. That was our theme the last 2 years. And so this year, although we're still about community and connection, and we love that, we're focusing this year on 3 words that is our new theme, which is refresh, relate, and renew. And we're going to give them a little snippet of some of that and talk through those keys and some of the ways that you try to do that in yourself and in your community. So when people come to the conference, not only will they hear from you about your experiences as a leader and as an officer and a professor, but we'll talk with them in a variety of different ways about refresh, relate, and renew. So when I shared those words with you a week or two ago, what were some original thoughts that you're just like, hey, I can relate to that? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So starting with refresh, I had mentioned to you that by giving myself or giving a more updated version of myself to the community. What I try to do is educate myself on things that I see within the community that I can improve on to help them. One of those is the elderly. As an elderly officer, we're seeing a lot of people come in to our town with Alzheimer's. Okay, so I just went to a conference on Alzheimer's and dementia, making sure that I am up to date on those things so that way I can help the community. Same thing with juveniles. Anything, the state's attorney just had a great educational portion where they talked about juveniles and how we can monitor maybe their social media. And making sure that when they do get in trouble, we make sure that they are in the right path. How can we make sure that they stay out of trouble?
Right.
Things like that.
Right. I love that.
So that's something that I think about when it comes to refresh. Relate. I make sure that I have an understanding of the people that I'm communicating within the community. And it goes back to helping them. What can I do for you? If I don't have the answer, I'm going to go and find the answer, okay, when it comes to relate. And then just renew, restoring and keeping track of what's occurring throughout the community, making sure that if my supervisors don't know that there is some type of event or anything like that, I'll advise them and then try to see, hey, can we get involved with that event? Maybe we can. And how? What can we bring to that event to educate people on the police? Trying to keep that relationship, police and community. That's so important.
Absolutely,
so important. And I'm gonna actually plug in a little bit here with Kankakee
feel
Community
free.
College.
Yes.
I want my students to actually have a connection with the police locally.
Right.
And if we can do something, I'm trying to bring that to Kankakee Community College, where our students can actually have a better relationship with our police department.
Yeah, you want your students in the program at KCC to increasingly have exposure and a connection to current officers, to maybe that could be role models, could be mentors if they happen to wind up in the same force with them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And keep them locally.
Yes.
Keep them local. We have fabulous police departments here, very educated, very professional, and the students can learn a lot from our local
is
agencies.
That not the truth? Yeah.
And I love that students have this great idea of, I'm going to go to the LAPD. But
maybe not right away. Anyway,
why don't you try staying around here? Because we have a fantastic group of agencies here that you can have the same type of action that you're looking for out there. But and of course, people here within the community.
I was meeting with a client a couple of days ago, and we were talking about the communities that are kind of bundled here nearby in Kankakee County. So we're in Kankakee proper, the city of Kankakee, but Bradley, Bourbonnais, Mantino, St. Anne. There's different communities that are right nearby.
Yes.
And we were talking about that. This is such a good community. Problems, challenges, sure. But I was saying to the guy I was talking to, I said, I love this community. I really love this community. And I know that's in your heart as a police officer. It's so much more than like, hey, I got to keep people between the lines and those kind of things, which is a legitimate part of that. But as I've watched you across the years work in the community, that piece of engagement and your work really being almost going back to that if I could say, that little kid who was trying to be a peacemaker and stop a fight, and it was just a misunderstanding that you weren't in there giving the business. You were kind of going, whoa, let's back up here. Whoa. And it's funny how that story to me plays into who you are even now.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a mediator.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And so, again, for the energetic, courageous young women and men who may want to be officers, there are things that they see going into it that are interesting and attractive to them, but there's also a broad spectrum of good things that you are showing the community about, like, hey, here's how we want our officers to interact. This is how we want them to show up.
Yes.
I remember when we had coffee a few weeks ago, you were talking about one of your colleagues. You were in a situation, we'll just say that, and they were thinking, I'm going to have to defend myself. And you were able to just kind of step up and say, hold on, and interacted with the community member, and things kind of settled down, and it didn't end up in an altercation or something worse.
It's about having an understanding of where they're coming from also.
Yeah.
That's basically, they're upset.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be upset at the same time too. I get that too.
Yeah.
But, there's no need for us to bring our anger from whatever is bothering us.
Yeah, or our ego, or our whatever it is.
Yes.
And if I recall correctly, you said to that local citizen, how can I help you? Or what do you need? Can I help? How can I help you?
Yes.
And that just diffused things.
That's how it does. It goes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, wait.
What can I do?
You want to help me?
Yes.
Yes. Most of us do.
Yes. What can I do to turn this around? What can I do?
Right,
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And empathy. How isn't that so big where you're just like, I understand you're upset, perhaps for good reason.
Yes.
But let's figure out what's going on. Let's figure out things and let's just please talk to me.
Yes.
And that helps to engage people. And that goes back to the theme of relate.
Yes.
Right? That's one of the things where, as an officer, you relate. As a professor, you relate.
Yes.
And
when you talk about me being a professor, my students, it's really It's shocking to me to see their faces when I say, let me know, text me, call me if you're going to be late or you have a problem getting to class or anything like that. I have an understanding because I sat right in the seat that you're sitting in.
Right.
So I can have an understanding of what you're going through. Let me help you. I'll still meet with you.
Right.
We can still get you to pass this class. But you have to talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
Don't go radio silent. No. Right. Yeah. That's where for years, and you know this, I'm like, I give students my mobile phone number.
Yes, that's exactly.
And no one has ever abused that.
No. Well, I've had one.
Well, yeah.
I've had one.
Yeah.
Try to bail him out of jail, but no, I didn't.
Yeah. But, most of the time it's like, hey, I'm sorry to bother you in the evening.
Right.
But then I'm like, when I give them my number, I say, you know what? If I'm awake and you need something, I want to know.
Yes.
Because if they're just agonizing over an assignment or whatever, they may send me a question. I can go, oh no, that's exactly what I had in mind.
Exactly.
You're right on track.
Yes.
And they can go,
and they can relieve and relieve their mind.
Right. Yeah. And that helps, I've found, and I guarantee you that students have this experience with you, is when they realize, both as a police officer or a professor, to go, oh, you're like a real person.
Yes. And I have had some officers say, you give your phone number out to people in the community?
Yep. And I've had people say, you are nuts for doing that.
Yeah. If it's 3:00 in the morning if I can answer you, that's what I do.
Yeah. Right.
I just can't bail you out of jail.
So I won't call you if I ever get in a jam.
No. I'm sorry.
No, we're friends, but you're not doing that. Yeah.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yes.
So I love what you've done. And as you started talking about the things that are going to be happening going forward and continuing, really not starting, but continuing on a more significant basis at KCC.
Yes.
So let's talk some about their program here. I often say to Dr. Boyd, their president, our friends at KCC.
Yes.
And so you're going to be taking you have officially? You will soon be officially director of their program there. So tell us more about that, please.
So I have the title of coordinator of the law enforcement and criminal justice program at Kankakee Community College.
Terrific.
And I am super excited about it. I was working night classes, teaching 2 or 3 days a week for that. But now I'm going to be there from 8:00 in the morning until 12 or 1 or 2 or teaching students.
Yeah.
And this my whole plan is to go hands-on with students. They're going to be learning a lot hands-on, not just me standing up there lecturing.
Here's how it is.
Yes. Yeah. You're going to be, doing a traffic stop. We're going to teach you, the basics of law enforcement. So I'm super excited about that. But our program, we have a great program, and we have other adjuncts that teach at night.
Right. So you probably partner with them for coverage and how they're approaching the courses and things.
And they have a background in policing also. So they're police officers, current and retired. And they do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
I've been working with them for many years.
Right.
And students learn so much, especially when you have a police officer come into the classroom.
Right.
And we are going to have other professionals come in and talk about their professions, such as, the state's attorney, corrections, probation, parole. We have other people that I have had come in, and I have a great relationship with them. I had 2 people come in, and they were sex offenders.
Yeah.
I need the students to understand the other side of it also. Right. Because you have to have, like you said, empathy. You have to have an understanding of what they're going through. I'm going to have some people, I have them setting them up right now, that are drug users, and they're going to describe what they're going through, how they got to that point.
It's preventive medicine.
Correct. So the students can understand, their point of view also.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
That's I need them to see the other side.
Right.
So, yeah.
And going back to what we said a minute ago about as professors to go, this is a mom or a dad or a brother or a sister who is struggling with addiction.
Yes, they made a mistake.
And they've done some things that are not okay, and they know that, and they've maybe had to pay the price, whether that's personally or doing some time.
Correct.
But now here they are, trying to get better, trying to help other people, and they're willing to sit here in your class and share their story with other people.
Exactly.
How cool is that?
And to say, this is what we need from a police officer.
Right.
That's what.
Yeah.
So cool. But to see the students light up.
Oh my goodness.
To see that, and they have so many questions, and which is great.
Right.
Love that.
Because it's real.
It's real.
That's the power of it.
It's real people coming in. It's not someone on video or But that's what I need. I want to have something fresh that they can learn from.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yes.
That is so terrific. Now, I've got to give you a chance, too, to talk about the space that you're going to have available. This, I think, is in the coming soon department with the KCC program, that you're going to have some space there on the campus that you can simulate like investigations or those kinds of things. Are you free to talk about that some yet? Or is that still kind of like, oh, that's, we can't tell about. Tell us more.
So we have a simulator on campus. Some of the probation officers and other police departments, they use that.
Okay.
And it's a video screen.
Okay.
And they have weapons, and they simulate shootings. Or talking down a person, things like that. And then we also have a lab where we have crime scenes.
Okay, that's, I think, what we were talking about the other day.
Yes, and we just finished a huge crime scene for Upward Bound students, high school students at Kankakee Community College. And it was wonderful. We did forensic science with them, and they learned all about the blood. They learned about fingerprints. They learned about, it was just amazing. Right. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. They did footprint impressions, and they got to solve their own crime. So, and which is what's amazing.
That's a different kind of a case study. I'm more of a business guy, so I give them case studies and what do you do with this and how do you figure this out? But that's a different spin on it that's just ideal for a up and coming officer. Yes. So we did that with the high school, but we've been doing that with the college students. And so we had the high schoolers do it. And they thought, wow, they get to do this. And so I think I drew a couple of them into as seniors. Do some more. I think I might want to do law enforcement, which is great. Yeah. My feeling is the more people learn about the program at KCC and get to hear what you're doing and interacting even with you and the experiential things to go, wait, what I thought this was and what this is are maybe not quite the same thing at all. And again, when they start seeing, there's this real person who's been an officer for a lot of years and can share that experience and guidance with me. What a great opportunity. Yeah, what a great opportunity. Yes. What a great opportunity. I said opportunity. Yeah. So they'll have to clean that up. What a great opportunity. Yes. Yeah. Well, I will say this as we are kind of wrapping up is I'm even more excited now for the October conference when we'll have you with us on October 11th. Yes. I believe the schedule, you're going to be our morning keynote. So Dr. Mel will be bringing the energy in the morning keynote with us. And again, that conference is October 11th. That's a Friday right here in downtown Kankakee. And you can learn more information about that by going to convergegroup.io. That's our website. And we're excited to have you. We'll be in conversation between now and then, but man, it's going to be a good day. I already know it's going to be a good day because of the people that are involved and just really looking forward to having you back then. So thanks so much for coming in and talking to us. It's
always great to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for joining us on Leadership Level Up. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Leadership Level Up. Please subscribe so you don't miss future conversations with great leaders. If you would like to learn more about executive coaching and team development, please go to convergegroup.io for more information.